guys, this is Mel and I'm taking you through chemistry for your IGCSE Cambridge course. And this is chapter 1, which is the particulate nature of matter. So let's get started then. In this video, we're going to look at kinetic theory. So we're going to look at the kinetic theory for the three states of matter, which are solids, liquids, and gases. So let's get started with solids firstly. So what does kinetic theory tell us about solids? Well, solids have a strong force of attraction between their particles. So that's how they're able to remain in a fixed position, because the particles are attracted to each other with a strong force, and they're packed very closely together. So the atoms in a solid would look like this. So they wouldn't overlap, but they'd be right next to each other tightly. So they would vibrate about a fixed position. However, they wouldn't change position or move. And they also have a fixed volume and a shape, and they also have a high density. So we know that they have a high density because there are many of these atoms packed together in one space. So that's why they have a higher density. So let's look at liquids. So what can we say about liquids? Well, we know that the particles in a liquid are slightly, more further apart than they would be in a solid. And they have a weaker attractive force between particles compared to solids. So that being said, the particles are close together, but they are in an irregular pattern or an unfixed position. They are also able to move and slide past each other, and this is why liquids take the form of the container in which they are placed in. Also why liquids are able to flow. So liquids have a fixed volume, however they don't have a fixed shape because they take the shape of whichever container that they are in, and they have a moderate to a high density. So they have a density lower than solids, however they have a density greater than gases. So if we look at gases now, what can we say about them? So we looked at what the particles would look like for solids and liquids. Now for gases, the particles would be even more spaced apart from each other. Now gases have no intermolecular forces which hold them together. So they move about in a random movement, and they have no defined pattern either. So they're always moving about in a random movement. Okay, so as I just said, the particles are far apart and they move around very quickly, which is around 500 meters per second in all directions. And they are also able to collide with each other because they're moving about randomly and fast. So they collide with each other, and they also collide with the container, with the walls of the container that the gas is inside. And this is why we would have an outwards pressure exerted inside a can of gas. Okay, and gases have no fixed volume. So since there's a lot of space in between the particles, gases can be compressed to a much smaller volume, and they have a low density. So compared to solids and liquids, gases have the lowest density. Alright, let's pay close attention to this exam tip now. So solids, liquids, and gases all have different properties. However, the difference in these properties come from the differences in how the particles are arranged in each state. Okay? So thank you. That has been our video on kinetic theory for chapter 1 of chemistry. and see you in the next video.